It's Superwoman's birthday this week, aka Lily Singh, and I know a lot of you who watch me also watch her because, well, she's hilarious. I'm on my way to hilarious. She's officially hilarious. Lily wears a ball cap in almost every one of her videos. I'm actually kind of jealous because they look great on her. Ball caps and this hair don't go together, but you know what? I can cake a ball cap. The first thing I need to do is bake a cake. Obviously, I have made a 4-pound portion of my vanilla cake, which you can try yourself. It's perfect for sculpting novelty cakes. Once I have my vanilla cake batter ready, it's time to dye it because I'm making a tie-dye cake for Lily. I split my batter into 3 equal portions, and then I dyed each portion a different color. I chose purple, yellow, and teal because I think it's rad. Do people say rad? Listen, if tie-dye is in, then rad is in. For the purple, I used Chef Master's Violet Gel Color. For the yellow, I used Chef Master's Lemon Yellow Gel Color. And for the teal, I used Wilton Teal Gel Color. Now that my 3 colors are perfect, I need to pour them into my 8-inch round stainless steel bowl to bake. Before pouring our batter into the bowl, we have to line it properly with parchment paper as well as grease the sides very well. I'll include a template of how I cut parchment paper to fit in a bowl on my blog at howtocakeit.com. Just click below. I'm going to pour the colored batter into my bowl by alternating colors a little bit at a time. I begin by pouring a 1/2 pound of purple batter into the bottom of my bowl. Then I pour a 1/2 pound of yellow batter on top of that purple, making sure to keep it in the center. And as you do that, you can just push down with your rubber spatula, and what you'll see is that the purple batter sort of comes up around the yellow, and then you take your teal batter and pour that in the center of your yellow batter. Let me do it for you. Purple, then yellow, then teal. Now we have to do this all over again. Have fun because it's gonna be like groovy. I am teaching them. I'm trying to make like new cool words. I'm trying to make fetch happen. You know what I mean? My cake is ready to be baked. When your cake is done baking, unfortunately, you can't get right to decorating. You have to let this cake cool completely cold. I'll know if you don't. Cakes talk to me. I hear them. There's a cake right now in like Georgia saying, "She's trying to take me out of the pan and I'm still hot." Whoever you are, you leave that cake alone. My cake is cool and it's time to remove it from the bowl. Sometimes the batter does run over, so I use a small serrated knife to just cut away that excess batter along the bowl. After removing all of the overlapping cake, I actually leveled my cake inside the bowl. So I used my ruler and my serrated knife and I gently go around and around, moving the bowl and taking my knife in until it's perfectly leveled. Once you've used your palette knife to loosen the cake around the sides of the bowl, just tip it over gently and just shake it out. Not even shake, just sort of, you know, shimmy. Would this be a shimmy? Just a light shake, you know? Let gravity do its job. She's amazing. Gravity is on fleek. So gravity has stood the test of time. I mean, sometimes she really pisses me off in the cake world, but it's okay. I respect her. She's doing her thing. It's finally time to carve our bowl cake into a baseball cap shape. We don't want it to look like a helmet. We want a ball cap. So I actually took one of my husband's ball caps. Sorry, Mr. Cake. I took an 8-inch cake board, which is the size of my bowl cake, and then I just placed the ball cap on top of that and traced around the main part of the cap and just trimmed my cake board to that ball cap shape. Now that I have somewhat of a template, I flip my cake flat side up and rest that template on top of my cake. Then I use a sharp serrated knife to cut away the edges of my cake along the template. Once the edges of the cake are carved away, I flip my cake back over so that it's flat side down, and then I begin to carve the cake into more of a ball cap shape. Ball caps are soft, so they do sort of shape to your head. So they wouldn't be that perfect round that a bowl is, unless you've got a perfectly round head. Time to carve a little rounded nook at the back of our baseball cap, where the snapback will be placed later so that it will appear empty behind the snapback. I took a look at my real baseball cap to get an idea of size, and then I just sort of free-handed, used my cutter, used a sharp serrated knife to carve out that nook of cake. Once I'm happy with my nook, I take the template I used before and cut that same shape out of it. This template is actually going to become our cake board, and we don't want to see any cake board sticking out at the back of our baseball hat. We want to add a little surprise for Lily in this ball cap cake. I used a round circle cutter that was about 3 inches right in the center of my cake and cut down as far as I could. And then I used a sharp paring knife to cut out that circle. And I sort of, when I pulled it out, I ended up with a beautiful tie-dye cake cone, which I took a bite of. Snack time! Now we have the perfect space that is just waiting to be filled with candy. But first, we need to protect the candy from cake crumbs. In order to protect my candy surprise from cake crumbs, we need to line our little cake hole with some white chocolate. So I've melted about 1/4 cup of white candy melts, and then I simply brush it all along the inside of our little hole with a paintbrush. Once that white chocolate is set, you can pour in your candy. I use stars because Lily Singh is a huge YouTube star. Hello! If you're not part of the 6.5 million people who are subscribed to Lily's channel, then you can click the link below and subscribe if you're in the mood for laughing, which I know you are because you're here. Fill your cake with candy until that candy is just level with the top, well, really the bottom of your cake. You don't want to put too much candy that you can't put the board on and it doesn't fit. You'll know. I know candy's exciting. Just eat the extras. It's a win-win situation. Once all of your candy is inside your cake, we need to ice the remaining cake around the candy with buttercream. Then I'm going to use the template that I used to carve this baseball cap and stick it right on top of my cake so it can become our cake board. It's time to use my buttercream to give this cake a crumb coat. Once my crumb coat is complete, I put my cake in the fridge to chill for about 20 minutes. Then I ice my cake again with Italian meringue buttercream, get it as smooth as I can, and put it in the fridge to chill for about 30 minutes. My ball cap cake is finally ready for fondant. To get the ridges out of your domed cake, you need 2 very expert tools, your hands, and some water. Just wet your hands and then use your fingertips to lightly rub out any ridges that you see in your cake. I'm rolling on my black fondant. I used about 1.5 pounds for the entire ball cap, and I like to roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch. Somebody asked me if I'm Canadian, why do I use inches? And they sounded angry. If it's on a ruler, I'm using it. Make sure to roll your fondant in a big enough circle that it will cover your entire baseball cap cake. Then I carefully pick up my French rolling pin with my fondant draped over either side and unroll it onto my cake. Now I trim away the excess black fondant from my baseball cap cake. I just use a sharp paring knife and trim as closely to the cake as I can. Time to turn this black dome into a hat. The hat that I have, and I did a lot of hat research, they usually have 6 panels. So what I need to do is measure my cake, the circumference of my cake, and then place marks at the bottom just lightly with a paring knife and divide this cake in 6. I need to find the center of the top of my cake, and so to do that, I just lay a measuring tape over the dome and find the center, and make sure to do that in both directions because your cake is actually more of an oval than a circle. And now it's time to play connect the dots. I used a very thin piece of cotton twine, making sure that that twine laid along the center mark at the top of my cap, and then I just sort of pressed the twine in, so it left me a light indent in my fondant. I'm going to do this again to connect my other marks. I'm going to use a ruler and a sculpting tool to make these lines a little deeper. Take your time, do this slowly but surely. You don't want to dig a hole into your cake, and you don't want to go off course from the light lines you created before. I take my overstitch tool and I run it on either side of all of the lines I've created to create the stitch pattern of a baseball cap. You know, I've never really studied a baseball cap, and I noticed some interesting things. There are 6 holes in a baseball cap, 1 on every panel, and I have no idea what the purpose is. Is it fashion? Is it air conditioning? I, of course, made a template so that I could get the 6 holes in exactly the right space. You don't need to do that. You can just make sure they're all as high as each other. So measure and make sure that they're all in the center of each panel. And what I do is just use a little sculpting tool. You can use the end of a paintbrush just to sort of press in lightly in the middle of each panel. Now it's time to roll out some fondant details for this hat. I need to further accentuate my air conditioning holes because if you look at a baseball cap, they're actually stitched all around. And I also need to make the ever important topper because it's clearly essential to baseball caps. And I need to make the snapback. This cake is looking good, but it doesn't quite look like a baseball cap. It's missing something so key, which is the brim of the hat. We're almost there, guys. We're down to the last detail. I have to add super to this cake. I found a picture of her hat online on her website, unicornisland.ca. Dear Lily, my producer Jocelyn is so jealous of your... Why are you laughing? You know it's true. My producer Jocelyn is obsessed with unicorns, secretly tries to convince me to make one on how to cake it, and she is so jealous of your web address.
I am.
I printed out a picture of Lily's hat so I can get the font exactly right. I blew up the font and cut out a template for myself. I roll out some white gum paste nice and thin, and then I cut out all of the letters S-U-P-E-R. I like to use a super sharp knife or an X-Acto. Take your time, follow the template, it's really important. Time to place these letters on our hat and complete it. Just flip your letters over carefully, brush them with a tiny bit of water. Use the stencil left behind from your template to help guide the letters. I like to work from the middle out. So I put the P down first and then added the E and the R and the U and the S. The hat looks super cool. Happy birthday to you, Lily Singh. I find your success on YouTube so inspiring and so amazing. I wish you could eat this cake with me, but I'll eat it and I'll let you know how good it is. Okay? Lily and I have so much in common. We love to laugh. We love to make people laugh. We're both from Toronto. She has 6.5 million subscribers. I have 500,000 subscribers. I mean, we're literally like neck and neck. It's virtually the same thing. Subscribe to my channel. please.